We got some huge unexpected news regarding Paul Maurice and the Winnipeg Jets this morning. We'll delve into it right now. Hey everybody, so big news out of Winnipeg today. Head coach Paul Maurice has resigned as the coach of the Winnipeg Jets, and Dave Lowry will be taking over on an interim basis. Lowry is expected to coach the team for the rest of this season, and they'll do a full coaching search at the end of the year. But this is obviously huge news, as Paul Maurice was the second longest tenured coach in the NHL with their current team, only behind John Cooper down with the Tampa Bay Lightning. And Maurice is a long-time NHL coach, big name coach, over 1,600 career games. And for him to just step away like this, it's obviously pretty shocking news around the hockey world. And that was certainly seen and reverberated when it happened today, because everyone was kind of taken aback with it on Twitter, and just the overall reaction was very surprised. But Maurice says, there were a few reasons for him doing this. He said it was 100% his decision. And the biggest thing is he just felt it was time, that his message wasn't getting through, that he wasn't able to push the players and get the most out of the players that he used to, and that they need a new voice, and they need a new direction, and they need a new person head coaching that team. And you don't see that very often. That's a rarity in professional sports, where you see a coach do that. A lot of times it's the exact opposite. Coaches have these big egos and think that they're the best thing ever, and think that they can fix anything, and if it doesn't go well, it's the player's fault. And a lot of times you see coaches stay around way too long, and very rarely do you see them self-aware enough to step back and just say, I'm not the guy for the job anymore. I mean, how many coaches in professional sports do you see say, I'm not the guy for the job anymore? So I commend Paul Maurice for having the awareness and the wherewithal to be able to step back and say, that this isn't working like it once was. My message isn't getting the most out of these players. They're not playing to their fullest potential. This team is not playing to their fullest potential. And I think somebody new leading the way in that locker room will be a good thing, and a new voice and a new direction will be a good thing for this team. And he just took himself right out of the picture and said, I can't do what I'm supposed to do here anymore, so I'm not going to attempt to do it. And that's a really, really cool thing to see from a head coach of a hockey team, and it's something that you really don't see very often. And Winnipeg has kind of struggled this year. I definitely, think that this was somewhat coming. I don't know how much longer Maurice would have been around if he didn't resign. If he didn't do this, how much longer of a leash did he have up in Winnipeg? Was he going to make it through the rest of this season? Or were they going to be making a change anyway, whether it was on his terms or not down the line? That's kind of a big question here, because Winnipeg has struggled this year compared to what the expectations were. They're not in a playoff spot right now. They're only 3 games above 500. Hasn't exactly been the best year, but I think that might be part of why Paul Maurice was able to step back and say, like, what I'm doing isn't really working here, because, they haven't been as good as they were supposed to be. This is a team with a pretty good roster, definitely a team that expects to be in the playoffs. And, as of right now, they're not in a playoff spot. So, you wonder how much that factored into it. Another thing that Maurice talked about was him kind of losing his passion for the game over the past couple years, since the pandemic started. And, again, that's a whole other side of it. So much has changed. So much is different now. These past couple years have really been such a grind and so draining, and just, downright depressing at times. And with everything going on in the world, and all of the issues over the past couple of years, it's like I can totally understand where he's coming from, where he doesn't like getting up and going to work every day anymore. The passion is gone, the love is gone, and everyone's just burnt out, drained, and just sick of the way things have been over the last 20-ish months now, it seems, getting close to 2 years. March will be 2 years since this whole thing really exploded. And I can totally understand where he's coming from with that, because I feel it myself too. Like, there are so many days over these past couple years where it's just, you feel so sick of everything, just worn out, drained, depressed, just sick of everything. And life got completely flipped upside down, turned all around, and has been totally different. Like, everything that we knew completely changed, and everything's just been and it wasn't like it was something that slowly came in over time and things changed over time. It was a complete just slap in the face. Everything is different now, just like that. And that's a hard thing to adjust to. And, now it's still, things are still that way all this time later. And it really is tough on people mentally. And it's really tough to, just, go through everything that everyone's gone through and just have your life completely change the way that everything has, and not be drained and exhausted and just worn out from it all, and sick of it, and wanting things to go back to what you were used to and what was normal. And that just hasn't been the case for these past 2 years. So I can certainly completely understand where he's coming from that side of things. I think he's right on the coaching side of things, of him, maybe not being the right guy anymore. Winnipeg hasn't been great the last, this year. Last year, it was okay, but, it was a team that you were expecting a little bit more from. And he's been there a long time. And we talk about every coach has a shelf life. He was the second longest tenured coach with their current team in the league. The only coach there, with their team longer, John Cooper in Tampa Bay, he's got 2 Stanley Cups. And Maurice mentioned that during his press conference and referenced that and said, you can stay that long when you have 2 Stanley Cups and when you're still performing at that level. But, if you don't have those cups and you don't have that success in that, that high level of results to lean back on, your time comes up eventually. And, I think Maurice saw the writing on the wall, saw what was coming, probably knew that he wasn't going to be back beyond this year anyway, especially with the way that the team has struggled this season. They just lost to Buffalo, which, that's not a team you ever really want to lose to. And I think he kind of knew that and was like, you know what? Why am I still here? Why am I doing this? You were not getting the results that we want. My message isn't getting through to the players the way that it once did. I'm not getting the response from the players that I once did. They need a new voice. They need somebody else in there trying to point them in the right direction. I've kind of, lost the effectiveness that I once had with this team, and I don't like doing this anymore. I don't like being here. I don't like getting up and going to work every day. I'm drained. I'm worn out. I'm sick of it. And why am I trying to push through every single day doing something that I don't enjoy anymore? So he kind of, took that reflective look in the mirror and was like, what's the point of all this? I'm not happy. I don't want to be doing this. Why am I doing it? And he said, you know what? I'm not going to. He said in the press conference, he seemed very completely at peace with his decision. He said, I feel good. I don't have a game to coach tonight. And he was happy about that. And, I think that's something that I can relate to as well. Just, getting worn out and sick of everything and drained and just not wanting to do something anymore. And then finally saying, I'm just not going to do it. I'm done. I'm taking a break. I'm stopping. And if he wants to coach again in the future, he'll certainly be able to get a job coaching. I mean, he's a long-time NHL coach, very successful career, been around the league a long time. Has had some very, very good seasons. Wasn't able to bring the cup to Winnipeg, but had some very solid years with them. And, he'll get a coaching job if he wants one in the future. But right now, it seems like he's very happy and very content just to take some time off, sit back and relax and just, to try and recharge a little bit because, his passion had drained, his want to be, an NHL coach and be there working had drained. And the results weren't coming either with him or the Jets. So completely understand this move. It was certainly a little bit shocking and not something that anyone was really expecting today. But he made a lot of good points as to why it needed to happen and why he needed it to happen and why he's stepping away. So Paul Maurice is no longer the head coach of the Winnipeg Jets. Dave Lowry is taking over on an interim basis for the rest of this season. And then we'll, see how it goes from there, whether they decide to keep Lowry long term or if they do a full coaching search, in the offseason and bring somebody new in. We'll have to wait and see. But Winnipeg hasn't had the best year this year. They're going to look to try and, maybe have this reignite their season a little bit and get them back into a playoff spot. We'll have to see how the Jets respond to this as a team. But Paul Maurice is gone, and it's on his own terms as he resigned from the team, was not fired. He personally resigned. And we'll see where the Winnipeg Jets go from here and how they do in these next few games now that this has happened. But with that, like, comment, share, subscribe, follow on social media. All those links are down in the description. If you'd like to further support the channel, links to our merchandise store, memberships, and donation links are down in the description as well. Keep spreading the word about this channel. Let's keep this thing growing. Thank you so much for watching. Hope you enjoyed the video, and I'll talk to you guys soon.